Applications for the Gain and Power Investment Internship Programme 2026 are now open. Some of you may have already submitted your application. I've certainly read some impressive applications over the last week, and others may just be doing their research before submitting your application, and I look forward to reading that application. Really make sure you take your time with that application and submit something that you're proud of. We want to hear why you're interested in investment management in particular, as well as why you're interested in joining the GAIN program in particular. And as part of that application form, for the first year, we've introduced a video question. So you'll just need to go away and record a 90-second, 2-minute video explaining your motivations for applying. There's a file size limit on the file that you can upload. So if your file is too big, just pop it on Google Drive, make sure the file is accessible to anyone with the link, and then upload a Word document with that link. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, you can email us to get some assistance there. But finally, this is your opportunity to ask any questions you have to the firms we have on the call. This is your chance to take charge of your career and find out anything you need to know about the hiring process. But today's session is not about the GAIN program itself. So let's keep our questions focused on the internships available with these wonderful firms. And if you've got any questions, you can reach out to me on programs@gainuk.org. We will have time for Q&A at the end. So feel free to ask your questions in the chat or use the Q&A function throughout the call. But if not, ask your questions at the end. And now I'd like to hand over to Julia at Quarton Capital.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julia. I'm a research associate at Quarton. Also super happy to be here today, especially because I actually joined Quarton through a GAIN internship in the summer of 2022. So I joined Quarton as an intern in 2022 and then stayed there with them straight after because I had just finished my master's. But going into a bit about Quarton, we are a private equity fund based in London. We were set up in 2020 and have around 26 employees, so we are quite small. And we have also some partners in the US. In terms of our investment strategy, we were set out to do private equity a bit differently from the traditional route. And that's mainly through a long-term and extremely focused and selective approach. So we are sector focused. We only invest in B2B tech-enabled services and data companies, because that's where our team has built deep domain knowledge over many decades as both investors and business leaders. We also have a highly concentrated portfolio, meaning that we invest in very few companies per fund. So our first fund was 512 million euros, and that was deployed in only 2 companies, Matrix 42 and Echo. And our second fund is 680 million euros, and that'll follow the same approach, investing in 3 to 5 companies. Right now we have 2. And because of this very concentrated and focused strategy, we also take a thematically led approach to sourcing, which is why we have a research team that I'm part of. So we dedicate a lot of time doing market deep dives. So really understanding what market that is, what are the subsegments, what are the trends, the growth trajectories, who are the customers, who are the market leading companies in that sector, and etc. And that helps us build strong domain knowledge and conviction in the businesses that we back. So in terms of our portfolio companies, we have 4 right now. Matrix 42, which is a software company for IT automation and service management. So they basically help companies manage their computers, applications, and IT services in one place. Then we have Echo, which is a software and managed services business that helps other businesses run their IT systems in the cloud and also help them with cybersecurity. From our second fund, we have Roima, which is a software company helping manufacturing and supply chain stakeholders, and CoBuilder, which is a software company for the construction industries, helping them manage their product data and also compliance to regulatory requirements. So in terms of the investment internship that we offer and what you guys can expect, because we are a small firm, the type of internship is very flexible and it really depends on the intern's experience and where they fit best in the firm, as well as where we are, in what period we're in when the intern joins. So what are the main projects going on? Where can the intern help? Etc. But we do have three core teams that the interns will get exposure to. So we have the research team, which is focused on the earlier stages of the investment cycle. So these market deep dives, identifying interesting companies that fit our investment criteria and working with the investment team on the analysis of the targets. Then we have the investment team, which is kind of the main team you think about when you think about private equity. So they're focused on the deal execution, but they're also across the entire deal life cycle. So doing kind of the due diligence, the financial modeling, etc. We also have the value creation team. So they are mainly focused on working when we've already acquired the business. So they work closely with the management teams of our portfolio companies to support them in growing the business. So the interns can expect a really dynamic environment where you get exposure to different team members, different teams, different projects. And the recruitment process is a mixture of interviews and case study. And a bit about what would be the best thing about working at Corton. Well, for me, the thing that most struck when I was doing my internship, and is still, I think, the main things that I like at Corton, is that because we are a small team, you get to work with and are mentored by very experienced colleagues and world-class investors, including working with partners and the founders of the firm on a daily basis. So you have a lot of exposure and a lot of learning opportunity. And we also have a very open and warm culture that really encourages you to be you. We're default to transparency, try to minimize bureaucracy and hierarchy. So you can really feel at ease and comfortable to ask any questions and learn from everyone. So I think that those would be the main points on why Corton it's a great place to intern. But thank you so much, and please ask any questions at the end.
Thanks. Thanks, Julia. We love a gain success story, so I'm really pleased you're here with us today. Next, I'm going to pass to Stephen from Clara Partners.
Thank you, Paige. I'm Stephen, originally from Germany and joined CLA in 2020, shortly after CLA was founded. Previously spent a couple of years in investment banking at Credit Suisse. Look, like Corton, CLA is a relatively young fund. We were only founded in 2020 on two premises, really. One, the alternative asset management industry has seen tremendous growth since, call it the 90s. And as a result, a lot of the mid-market firm have vacated the mid-market space and moved into large cap instead. And we saw that as an opportunity to fill that hole in the mid-market, in the traditional mid-market in Northern Europe. And the second premise was really to support entrepreneurs, companies, and management teams, because in mid-market companies, they usually face very unique challenges. And it's not capital, it's more, how do I internationalize? How do I go to the US? How do I go to Asia? How do I deal with digitization, be it software as a product sold to customers, but also how do I digitize my own processes to work more efficiently? And so we came in with these two premises, raised our first fund at 630 million euros, invested that, and raised our second fund mid last year at 870 million euros. What we do is relatively simple. We focus on three sectors only. That's field services, it's professional services, and industrial technology. Field services being businesses where a man in a van or a woman in a van drives around and fulfills certain services. There could be plumbers, electricians, it could be underground infrastructure management, it could be property damage restoration. You have the professional services where it's, think of IT services, engineering, testing, inspection, certification services, and the third part, and that's where I spend and coordinate that sector for most of my time, is industrial technology, and that's essentially test and measurement equipment, it's automation equipment, and it's medical technology. That's us in a nutshell. We're around about 25 employees, call it 15 investment professionals, and you'd obviously join the investment team and support the team hands-on on really the entire deal life cycle. So be it in the identification of new opportunities, of evaluating actual transactions from the first day through to due diligence, and then of course, if it's of interest to you, we'd of course involve you in portfolio company as well. We Our main offices are here in London and Victoria, but we have offices in Stockholm, Munich, and we're about to open another one in Zurich. And I think the main benefit of joining Klar as a gain intern is really that you get a lot of exposure, be it to deals, but also the various people in the firm and management teams outside of the firm. So the last gain intern we had was fully involved on live deals, and in fact, she was so good that we now hired her as a full-time employee. And she's going to join us next month. That's all for me. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Stephen. Another gain success story. Amazing. Thank you so much. And now I'm going to pass to Camilla from Marlin Equity Partners.
Great. Thank you, Paige. And hi, everyone. Although I cannot see you, it's so nice to meet you virtually. About Marlin, very briefly, we are a growth equity fund. Actually, our headquarters are in Hermosa Beach in California. Unfortunately, we do sit in London. And there's also a very small office in Paris, but the internship will be offered in our London office. And Marlin was born around 20 years ago, so kind of, after its teenage years, and we've been operating in Europe pretty much since the start, but with an office since 2010. And we currently have a European fund that is approximately 1 billion euros, with which we invest across the region. We are focused solely on tech and more specifically software, although we have some investment in IT services as well. And within software, we only do B2B software. Fortunately, I cannot mention any cool names in our portfolio, but you can have a look, of course, and let me know if any of them are of interest to you. We are 40 people in Europe and approximately the same in the US. And these 40 are split among the investment team, which is where I sit, the business development and the operations team. And I guess, for the internship program, depending on the preferences and also maybe your background, but we would be looking to do a rotation experience across all the different departments to have really like a 360 view of what private equity really is about. So within the investment team, you would be, thanks to all the other presenters already we mentioned, but you're looking at potential opportunities and, drafting investment highlights and risks, of course, always under the wing of one of our associates, and also deep diving on the modeling skills. On the business development side, you'll be more interacting with the companies and with the other players in the market, like whether they're bankers or other funds, and with also the opportunity to attend conferences. So it's kind of really to give you the visibility on how relationships are formed and developed, which ultimately lead to successful investments. And the third part of the rotation would really be within the operations team. And tasks could include calls with the C-suite of our portfolio companies, or really being hands-on on ad hoc projects for these companies, which could be anywhere from go-to-market analysis or product, or anything really the company needs. And you always have access to both calls, but also sitting together with us in board meetings. So hopefully that would give you like a really good view of the day-to-day job. And I guess as a question of what makes Marlin special, it's maybe simple answer, but is really it's people and the culture that we have here, which is very flat and collaborative. And I guess as an intern, you would feel it day one. Everybody's very welcoming and supportive, and this internship is meant to be very hands-on rather than just shadowing or especially boring tasks. So again, very happy to answer any specific questions later on. But we look forward to welcoming you. But if you're interested in software.
Thank you, Camilla. And last but certainly not least, we have Paloma and Soraya to talk about Mubadala Capital.
Hey everyone, Soraya and Paloma here. We're both associates out of our London office. A little bit about our firm. So you've probably heard of Mubadala, which is the sovereign wealth fund. It was created in Abu Dhabi with the goal of diversifying the Abu Dhabi economy and dispersing capital in order to create value and move away from oil and gas. Now, we are a special pocket of that organization. We've spun off Mubadala a bit more than a decade ago, and we operate pretty much like a standard mid-market private equity fund. What that means is we raise third-party capital, but at the same time, we're able to have a balance sheet from our mother company, Mubadala, in order to punch above our weights in terms of ticket size. So something that's special about our fund is we get the best of both worlds in the sense that we do bread and butter private equity deals in the mid-market, but we're also able to go after big, complex transactions like take privates, which we've done one recently in the US. We've acquired the biggest private wealth manager in the world, CI Financial, and we're doing a bunch of M&A in Europe linked to that deal with the acquisition of Corian, for example. So that's kind of who we are. We are about 250 professionals around the world. 50 are based here in London, and we have offices in New York, Rio, Abu Dhabi, San Francisco. In terms of what we do here in London, we're focused on Europe. So we serve the UK, French, Spanish markets and Europe more broadly from our office here, and it's a fly in, fly out model. We are generalists, so we focus on attractive opportunities across the board. But I'd say we spend a lot of time on business services, so like IT services, education. We have a couple of companies in our portfolio that are education related, financial services with big acquisitions like Fortress or CI Financial. And then we have some consumer services. So think about Bugaboo is an example, consumer retail. We also spend a lot of time screening opportunities in the consumer services space, whether that's gyms or leisure or other, more tangible consumer opportunities. I'd say the three things to remember about our firm, at least what I think is sort of what stands out for me is one, our ability to flex up and down the ticket size. So we'll look at deals for companies that are 30 to 40 million in EBITDA up to, several hundreds in EBITDA. And that's something usually most funds don't do. Two, I'd say is we have a very collegial culture. We're a small office relatively, and so we kind of know each other very closely and we have a pretty good atmosphere. And the last thing is we're pretty global. So we speak a lot with our teams in New York, same thing with Abu Dhabi, and very often we have people flying in and out. So we know each other at a organizational level. In terms of internship, we would probably be targeted a 3-month internship in the summer. So starting around June and ending around August. The way to think about this internship is essentially you would be paired with an investment professional from my team and be a full-time person on a deal team, whether that's a live deal or it's asset management opportunities. So an example is a lot of our assets grow through inorganic acquisitions, and so we do a lot of add-on M&As, and there's opportunities to do have deal experience on asset management opportunities. Concretely, what that means is you'll probably do a bit of modeling. You'll be on all the calls with experts, management, internal teams, and you'll also work on, PowerPoint presentations, whether that's investment committee materials, board materials, and so on and so forth. I'll pause here and let Paloma add anything that I missed.
Nothing to add. I mean, in terms of just presenting myself, I was at Citi before in investment banking and joined Mubadala 2 years ago for the reasons that Soraya mentioned. For me, it was kind of, I didn't want to go into sovereign investing role, investing into minority, and Mubadala Capital provided that flexibility to be part of the sovereign, backed by the sovereign, but still focused on control buyouts in the mid-market, mainly in North America and in Europe. So I'm covering the French and Spanish geographies due to my background. And yeah, it's been a more of an entrepreneurial kind of experience for me since I joined the firm. The office in London opened like 5 years ago. So it's grown like very quickly since I joined. We were like back then we were like 20 professionals and now we're 50. So it's quite exciting to be in this firm at this moment.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that overview. I think we have 5 firms on this call who are presenting very, very exciting opportunities. So I'm going to encourage everyone to put their questions in the chat or the Q&A function. And we did open it up on Instagram, as we love to do with all of these events, and collect some questions to begin with. And I've got an important one here. So I guess we could start with Abigail, if that's okay, and maybe we'll circle around in the order we've just discussed. Beyond the GAIN assessment process, when the students complete applications and then we send them to each firm to review, what would your assessment process look like? Could you elaborate on perhaps how many rounds there might be and what that could entail? Julia, would you be able to speak about Corton?
Yeah, of course. So we usually start with a short kind of coffee chat just to get to know each other a little bit for the intern also to get to know Corton, and then we'll have a few interviews that will also cover motivational and technical questions, and that will also be a case study. So it will be focusing on kind of assessing a business and determining whether it's an interesting investment opportunity or not, and what would be the suggested next steps. That's typically how we do it, but it might change slightly.
That's great.
And you'll be meet with different members of our team as well. So
Fab. Stephen?
Yep, I think our interview process is relatively straightforward. It's 2 to 3 interviews, couple of technical questions, couple of questions around your background and your fit with Club. That's about it.
Nice and simple. Camilla?
Yeah, so we're pretty aligned. So there would be like a first chat where we talked about motivation and a bit of your background. Then a short case study, a simplified version versus what our full-time employees usually go through, and then a couple of other conversations with members of the different teams that I went through before, so that you can also understand a bit more of what they do in their day-to-day, and yeah, that should be quite straightforward as well.
Thank you. Paloma and Soraya?
Yeah, so for us, it's a pretty similar process. I think step 1 is for you to meet 1 or 2 people from the junior team. And then the next stage would be to talk to more senior folks, potentially talk with recruiting, specifically the recruiting team, just to assess fit. But overall, these are a combination of, high-level technical plus behavioral. It's really trying to understand your motivation as an individual and what we can help provide through the internship and whether it's a good mutual fit.
Great, thank you. I'm going to go to the first question we have in our Q&A. So Emily asks, she's an MBA student. Would your internship be open to someone with previous full-time work experience? So GAIN has every firm's internship criteria, but if anyone on the call does know whether the opportunity is open to MBA students, could you let Emily know?
It's a sure from Clara.
And then I guess that ties in nicely with Zarina. Is it desirable to have an investment banking or private equity background or work experience, or are your opportunities more open to students with no experience? I guess what kind of candidate profile are you looking for? Thank you.
yeah, we tend to agree. And also, this is a learning opportunity for you guys. So we don't expect you to come in with all the experience, know everything about IB or PE. You don't need to do that. This is a learning experience for you. So we'll assess the intern's fit across kind of their background and also throughout the interviews. So no need to have PE or IB experience.
Agreed.
Great.
Same here.
Nice. Camilla, is that the same with you?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, of course, in our specific case, if you are passionate about the subject matter, it's probably more important than what you've done until now. So
That's great. Thank you. So with the GAIN application process, all of the students submit, I don't want to call it generic because we've put a lot of time and effort into considering what questions will go on our internship application form. But let's go with generic application form before we send CVs to you, and then you take them through their your own typical assessment process. What advice could you give students on how to stand out in that application form that they first submit? So our questions are about motivations for applying for an internship in investment management, teamwork, communication, other noteworthy achievements or things they're proud of in their life, maybe outside of academics. So how can they stand out? What advice would you give them for preparing that application? And I'll let anyone chime in first.
I'm happy to start. I think explaining your story goes a long way. And so if you have a story around having a longer term vision beyond, I just want to try private equity, is helpful. So whether you have projects in the long term or, just explain to us why it makes sense for you to get private equity experience at this stage in your career goes a long way.
At Cloud, we're a values-driven firm. Two of our values are curiosity and courage. So if you have anything that showcases exactly that, be it it could be sports, it could be anything really, where you've shown your passion and your courage to do something that is quite unique, then of course that is a big plus for us in the firm.
my side is, I mean, to stand out, you actually need to stand out. I think we hear a lot of the same answers, but really letting your personality come out. And even if, you're not necessarily the private equity type, that doesn't really matter. As long as, again, you have the passion and the curiosity to learn more about the job. And it's totally fine if at the end of the internship you think that's not for you. So we do encourage to explore and to be yourself.
The only thing I'd add is actually think about why you might be interested in private equity. It's okay if you don't know exactly if this is what you want to do, but what makes you interested in it, and kind of explaining to us a bit more than just kind of the generic answers, but why it makes sense to you and what sparked your interested within it. It doesn't have to be everything, but yeah.
That's great advice all around. Thank you. So if we think a little bit more, also students, please keep putting your questions in the chat or the Q&A, otherwise I will keep going. But if we think about interns that you've had in your offices previously, is there someone that stands out in your mind that you can talk about how they really thrived in the job? What qualities did they have? What makes them memorable for you?
Think for us, the best interns we've had, well, I mean, ultimately some of them joined full time. I think throughout their internships, they demonstrated to be like very proactive in the tasks they were assigned. I mean, not just like waiting around to have like some task given to them. So showing proactiveness, being curious, trying to learn on your own when you have some spare time. Also, just spending time with the entire team, not just always being with the investment team, but like speaking to our legal colleagues, compliance, tax, finance, someone just like who blends in well with the entire office has been, I mean, at least from the interns we've had, the ones with whom we've worked the best.
And not being afraid to ask questions. I think it goes a long way to actually ask someone how to do something, or if you don't understand something, and it helps you gain confidence in the long term. I think the ability to voice what you need in order to keep moving is super important.
Mm. Mm. Definitely.
The one thing I would add to that, that I think really helped me when I was doing my internship is asking for feedback. You will be given feedback throughout, but asking for it proactively and working on the feedback, really understanding it, and then putting together an action plan on how you can improve for the next time. That was very helpful.
That's excellent.
I mean, echoing everything the others said, but is also, speak up, even if, you think you don't have the kind of, experience in your pocket really, but like, as you're coming in with fresh views and you've done your research, you've done your job, you should be contributing and not just listening in.
Excellent. Thank you, Camilla. Okay, great. We're going to move to a question from anonymous participant in the Q&A. So this is a question to everyone, and maybe whoever wants to speak first, just go first. But what are your motivations for working in private equity? What were they at the beginning, sorry, and what has kept you in the industry until now? You can have a moment to think.
I'm happy to start. For me, it's pretty clear. I have a background in consulting. I took some time off consulting to figure out what I wanted to do, and it turns out I want to acquire a small consumer brand in the long term and run it myself and grow it myself. And so I needed to acquire the necessary investment experience and ease velocity of work in that environment. And so every day when I ask myself, why am I doing this? The biggest answer is for the learning that I want to take away with me.
That's lovely. Thank you.
I think my side, coming from investment banking myself, I guess I just wanted to do something where I would have more of an impact. And as I like kind of day one, you're expected to contribute. And I feel also being involved in conversation with, CEOs and just generally, founders of companies, adds a lot to your, life, something that you would not be exposed to in other industries, really. I guess that is the same answer to what has kept me in the industry is really, just meeting so many inspiring people and being able to support as an investor, not only providing the money that of course companies need, but also building experience and providing best practices really.
For me, I didn't actually have any background in investment banking or consulting. So I was doing my master's in economics and finance, and I was also working part-time at a marketing company that got acquired. They didn't actually get acquired by a private equity fund. They got acquired by a strategic, but I was there through the whole process of kind of the acquisition and then how we were thinking about growth in the company because I was in their finance division. And I thought that was super interesting, but actually I wanted to be on the other side. And what really motivated me was that I was thinking, how do these investors figure out and determine what makes an investment opportunity a good one, and kind of what is the market research that goes into it? How do they identify the companies? How do they diligence them? And then how do you actually grow a business, not just provide capital? So kind of the full circle. That's what really got me into the industry. And I've only been here 2 years, so I think that continues to be it as well.
Thanks, Julia.
And for me, it's about learning how companies and sectors work, and how they operate, how they make money, and how to grow them. And so it required not just a kind of a high level worldview, but also sometimes being really into the detail to understand how certain parts of the business is the most important parts, and how the different kind of level of details required in different research that you do. Um, and just stepping back in terms of, asking this question, I think a lot of the times you'll probably be thinking, do I have similar motivations to the speakers or to people who are already in the industry? And I think what you'll find is everyone probably has a slightly different story. There will probably be some similarities. But at the end of the day, I think from your perspective, where you are right now, I would really encourage you to explore as much as you can through reading, through podcasts. There's a lot of good podcasts out there these days in terms of the different types of investments, and just see what kind of, what get you excited when you read about stuff. And that's how once you have that kind of level of curiosity, that will motivate you to kind of get into the specific area, whether it's VC or PE or growth. So worth thinking.
That was really nice. Thank you, Abigail. And curiosity is on our scorecard for marking everyone's applications. Show us that you're curious through the answers you give us. Stephen, did you have something to share as well?
Look, I think the short answer is I find meeting CEOs, but also entrepreneurs incredibly insightful. There's a lot of inspiring stories, and nowhere will you get closer than in private equity to these very inspiring personalities, but then also supporting them in addressing the unique challenges I mentioned in the introduction. I think that's one of the most fulfilling jobs you can frankly have.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, questions in the chat. We have one from, I really hope I say this right, Naren. Do you think in the long run it's better to start out with early investment banking experience or to apply directly for private equity roles? Perhaps this doesn't need a whip around all of the speakers, but if anyone's got any advice on this question, that'd be great.
Personally, I think it's best to start with, be it investment banking or consulting. I think they give you a fantastic toolbox to learn from. You always start also where usually you start with a bigger peer group of people that will form a lifelong network that will push you, teach you new skills. And I think having seen larger and smaller private equity firms, the reality in private equity is a little bit different in terms of the class size you'll see and the people you'll work with day to day. So I'd always encourage doing investment banking or consulting first.
Thanks, Stephen. Anyone else have anything they want to add to that, or we can pop to a different question? Okay, let's move to a different question. So EL asks, besides substantial Excel skills, what are other skills in terms of technicals do you look for in candidates? So I guess a note to everyone on the call, once you secure a GAIN internship, we offer you a substantial array of technical skills training for across financial modeling and your advanced Excel skills and lots of other stuff. But I guess right now for the firms on the call, what are you looking for during the application or interview process?
For us, it's really commercial judgment. So being able to see beyond the numbers and see whether, story can work or not. And we really do have them both really on the same ground. So if, even after the comprehensive training, maybe Excel is not your, bread and butter, but you have a great take on, highlights and risks that is equally important, really.
I think ability to structure any kind of situation or idea and try to boil down a complicated setup into something simple where you can guesstimate the outcomes in a simple way versus just try to change 1,000 different variables. So ability to structure and simplify problems.
And communicate the ideas as well, I would add. Communicate with your team, take feedback. Yeah.
Perfect. Anyone else? So we've only got a final few minutes. So I just want to bring it back to your internships very quickly. What opportunities or are there opportunities for your interns to network with different teams and senior staff? And what do you do to make sure the interns feel included as part of the team? I think we've got a nice mix of firms on this call who are larger and smaller. So I'm not sure if someone would like to kick that off.
For us, we're quite a small team, so you'll meet everyone at the office, work very closely to everyone from the junior team to the senior team. You'll also be allocated a buddy so that you can ask any questions that you might not want to ask whoever you're working directly with. And we also have like lunch and learns where we have lunch together and learn about a new topic or a topic that we encounter very often in our work. We also have volunteering opportunities to get involved with, get involved in, and as well as team dinners, socials, etc. So you'll be socializing with everyone very often.
Thanks, Julia.
Thanks. For Mubala Capital, it's kind of the same. So coffee chats across the different teams. We have Mondays to Wednesdays lunch all together in the hub, which is a nice area. I mean, the office is very nice. We have, what else do we have? We have a summer social that's organized every summer. So we tend to have like a few summer interns. So we tend to like organize like a full day of activities with the entire office joining in London or outside of London sometimes. So that's a good way to like break the glass, and the interns are really able to speak to anyone from people from other teams, but also to the head of the office, and people are quite open. So that's pretty nice. And then even across like the different offices, the interns managed to like put in some coffee chats on Zoom online. I'm thinking about the one of the interns that left us last week. He managed to have like a 1 hour chat on Zoom with the global head of private equity of the firm, who's based in New York. So I think that was a pretty nice opportunity for him, and it was nice as well from the global head to give that time to an intern that was spending time with us in London.
That's great. Thank you, Paloma.
We're a small firm. You'll get to meet and interact with everyone, no matter how experienced or inexperienced. And of course, we often try and do things together, be it gym classes on Mondays or drinks throughout the week. We usually find opportunities to get to know each other.
I love that. I've not heard gym classes on a Monday before, so it's sticking in my mind.
I mean, same for us. We're quite flexible in terms of office versus home, but of course we will try to be here as much as possible when interns are around. And we, as the junior cohort, really always have lunch together, dinner together, and we enjoy each other company even outside of work. And of course, there will be team meetings on a weekly basis, team events, depending on the time you'll be with us, but you get to experience some very fun activities. And of course, you should be reaching out to everyone for coffee chats, and the same applies to them. But everybody's quite open.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Well, we've got 2 minutes left. I've already asked you what advice you would give applicants during this application process, so I won't ask that to be the line that we finish off on, but perhaps we'll do a final whip round of your 1 sentence sales pitch of why people should be trying to get an internship with you. I'm going to pick on Julia since you're top of my screen.
We're a small knit group, very close, very open culture, and you get a lot of exposure, which I think is the main thing for an intern.
Thank you.
A super dynamic deal flow with opportunity to work with people from across offices.
Thank you. Who's next?
Come see for yourself. Apply, get to know the people, and see how it's like.
Perfect. Camilla, do you want to wrap us up?
A lot of responsibility, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, do your research. Feel free to reach out directly on LinkedIn. Happy to answer any questions, but for sure it's exciting time to be in technology. So
That's great. Thank you. Thank you, Abigail, Camilla, Julia, Soraya, Paloma, and Stephen for being with me this evening. And thank you to all the students for dialing in. We have a final instalment of the Meet the Firms event series tomorrow, looking at wealth management. It's very different to private equity. But if you haven't quite decided what area you'd like to apply for yet, come and say hello to our firms. But yeah, thank you everyone. I hope you have a great evening. I can't wait to look at your applications, and I'm sure our speakers tonight can't wait to read them. So best of luck and thank you everyone.